Hello students, today we are going to start chapter 6 from supplementary book, that is Footprints Without Feet. This is chapter number 6, The Making of Scientist, written by Robert W. Peterson. So this chapter, as the title talks about here, this is being told the making of scientist, how a scientist is made. What are the different ingredients required for becoming a scientist, or maybe for becoming a person who is professional in life. So this chapter is about Richard Aberwright, who is a well-known scientist who has won Searle Scholarship Award and Schering-Plough Award for Biochemistry, Molecular Biology, and it was his fascination for butterflies that opened the world of science to him. So this famous scientist Aberwright, Richard Aberwright, who has won many prizes also, and all this, how he became a scientist, this is not a story of one day. It all began since his childhood, when from the childhood when he got fascinated to butterflies. This all opened a new door of science to him. Let's see how this was done in his life. At the age of 22, a former Scout of the Year excited the scientific world with a new theory on how cells work. So he, at the age of 22, he came into focus when he developed a theory how the cells work to give a life. For a life, cells are required. Cells in the body of any living organisms are important because they develop the human beings, or they develop any other creatures. So Richard H. Aberwright, he and his roommate explained the theory in an article proceeding of National Academy of Science. So this article was published here in the paper, and it was the first time. This was a journal actually, and it was the first time because they were the college students only. Till 22 years old, all this was done, and he was a college student, and it was the first time that such article written by a college student was published here. In sports, he would be like making big leagues at the age of 15, hitting a home run, or your first time at the bar. So this is not only so at such a young age he became famous, and moreover, then in sports also he was not only just good in reading, and not just a brilliant student, but is physically also he was active student in sports. He would be at the age of 15. He hitting our home run your first time at BAM. And for Richard Aberwright, it was the first in long string of achievement in science and other fields, and all started with butterflies. Not only just a brilliant student, not only that he made discoveries, but he was a good sports captain also in his team. And it was just like in the home league, in the that is just sports. In sports also he was good. He was leading to his team. So these were the qualities in him. And early child Aberwright grew up north of Reading, Pennsylvania. This is Pennsylvania. So he was born in the north of Reading. Reading is not Reading. Reading is a place here. In Reading, in this city, he was born in Pennsylvania, and there wasn't much I could do there. He said, I certainly could not play football or baseball with a team of one, but there was one thing that I could collect the thing. He's remembering his childhood days, that there was not much supports were not there, and no other maybe playmates were there near to play with him. So he was there doing this type of only just collecting the things there. He started collecting. His interest started as happening with small children. Whatever they think, any new thing, whether it is a stone or a feather or anything else, they start collecting those things. So same way he was also doing. So he did. And did he ever, beginning in the kindergarten, Aberwright collected butterflies with same determination that has marked his all activities. He collected rocks, fossils, coins, and became an eager astronomer too, sometime stargazing at night. So just he was doing all these things in his free time. So he was fond of not only just collecting the things at the age at the kindergarten. Here you can kindergarten is KG class. In his KG class he was interested in collecting the things, but later on he developed some more activities, and he started collecting rocks, fossils, coins, and he became an eager astronomer too, sometime gazing stargazing also. So out of curiosity, whatever new he was able to observe, he observed all those things, and he was able to was becoming an all rounder observer. He was becoming, and he was getting the things, he was observing the things in his lifetime. So I was only a companion until he started. I was his only companion. Now when mother is interviewed, what is she saying about him? I was only companion until he started school, his mother said, and after that I would bring home friends for him. At night we did things together. Richie was my whole life, and his father died when Richie was in 3rd class. So in 3rd class, what happened, his father died. So mother and this child, they were the only companion for each other. So mother was passing most of the time with this boy. She was living close with Richard and passing time and giving her valuable time to her, devoting her all the time almost to her. She and her spent almost every morning at the dining table. If he did not have things to do, I would found work for him, not physical work but learning things. His mother said he liked it, he wanted to learn. So what mother is talking about, mother is saying that whenever she saw the boy was sitting free, she never let him free, she made him busy. She found some physical work for the boy, for the so that he grow properly, he get the growth of his life is smoothly happening. For that she was taking care, and learn he did. He earned up top grades in school every day, things he had just like every other kid. His mother said by the time he was in 2nd grade, Upright had collected 25 species of butterflies found around his hometown. So this is how now, because now he was growing up. So when he reached to his 2nd class, in the 3rd class, then he was doing, so till now, because he was fond of collecting the butterflies, so till now 25 species of butterflies he was able to collect. There is a table given in your books, you must read out from there species and subspecies of butterflies collected in 6 weeks in Reading, Pennsylvania. In reading in the place here, how many species? 25 were collected. So this all list is given there, you can just check out from there, like these gossamer winged butterflies, how many were, then snout butterflies, how many were collected, and these all monarchs, wood nymphs, monarchs, white and sulfur. So all these butterflies were collected. Brush footed butterflies, different types of butterflies he collected. So that probably have been end off. So maybe after collecting, that may have, his curiosity may have ended there only, because he had collected almost every type of butterfly, and he observed maybe the change in between them, that maybe have end of this his hobby. But he said, my mother gave me children book called Travel of Monarch. So this book Travel of Monarch was brought by his mother. So this was brought here, and that book which told how monarch butterflies migrate to Central America opened the world of science to eager young mind collector. So this book mother knew the curiosity of the child. She brought Travels of Monarch for this boy, and when Richard read this book, so he came to know that how he can make research over how the scientific researches are made. This he came to know, and at the end of the book, readers were invited to help the study butterfly migrations. They were asked to tag the butterfly for research by Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart of University of Toronto, Canada. Upright's mother wrote to Dr. Urquhart that soon Upright was attaching light adhesive tags to the wings of the tags to the wings of monarch. Anyone who found the tag butterfly was asked to send the tag to Dr. Urquhart. Now this was all. So now this book, at the end of this book which he was reading, Dr. Frederick, who was a famous scientist, he has written an experiment that students can participate, the readers can participate in an experiment. They can collect the butterflies, they can tag the butterflies like this. Tag is tagging, some pasting some information written on those feathers of the butterflies, and then they are left, so that further this study can be made. So there was invitation of that written in the book. So he from here got the, again a curiosity happened in his mind when he came to know that these butterflies, they migrate from one place to another place. So butterfly collecting season around reading last 6 weeks in late summer, and if you are going to chase them one by one, you won't catch many. So next step Ebright was to raise a flock of butterflies. He would catch a female monarch, take her eggs, raise them in basement through their life cycle from egg to caterpillar to pupa to adult butterfly, and there would be tag of butterflies wings, let them go. For several years his basement was home to thousands of monarchs in different stages of development. So here he came to know that he can do further studies over that, and for over that what he did, the next step was he thought that now he will be doing an experiment on butterflies. What sort of experiment he was going to do? He will catch a female monarch butterfly, take her eggs, raise them in basement, and then take its egg, then he will observe how the egg become caterpillar, and then how it changes into pupa, and then it becomes a butterfly. So this life cycle, he said he started observing this life cycle of the butterflies, and this way he started the next journey of his life. So there is a table again in your book. This is given that how many butterflies, how many sort of butterflies he did this experiment on. There is all told about. Just read out from the book, go through it. So now eventually I began to lose interest in tagging butterflies, but slowly observed that this was a boring task to tag the butterfly, to leave it, and it was becoming boring also. There was not much feedback. Actually, Ebright said, and all the time he laughed. Only 2 butterflies I had tagged were captured, and they were not more than 75 miles from where I lived, because he was curious to know that where does these butterflies migrate. And when he tagged these butterflies, left these butterflies, so only 2 were captured, but 2 tagged butterflies were captured, and moreover they did not go migrate to other places. They were just 75 miles away from his home. They were caught from there only. So his interest was, he was losing the interest in these things now. So now what he did for that is, then in the 7th grade he got a hint of what real science is when he entered the county science fair, county's regional. So there was a regional science fair organized. From there again his curiosity was raised. He was really sad feeling to sit there and get anything while everybody else has won the something. Ebright said his entry of slides of frog tissues he showed under a microscope. He realized that the winner had tried to do real experiment, not simply make a neat display. So from here he just wanted to become, maybe he wanted to get some prize. So what for that he joined the science fair, and in the science fair, because others were getting the prizes but he did not win anything. So because maybe what he had shown in the first experiment, slides of frog tissues through a microscope, he showed that in the fair, but he did not win any prize. Then he realized that the winners had tried to do real experiment, that if he has to become a real winner, then he will have to do some experiments, real experiment, not just to display what he wanted to show. So this he came to know from there. Then already the competitive spirit that drives Richard Ebright was appearing. I knew that for the next year's fair I would have to do a real experiment, he said, and the subject I knew most about was the insect work I had been doing in the past several years. So then he made up his mind, because what happens, students, actually the failures teach us. Failures are the stepping stones. They are called stepping stones, and this failing of his in science fair, that taught him that he has to become a winner. Now he started working upon that side, that how he will become that. Then for doing the experiment, he thought doing the next experiment, and for that he wrote to Dr. Urquhart Dr. Urquhart for ideas, and back came a stack of suggestions for experiments. Those kept Albright busy through high school and led to prize projects in the country and international fairs. So for that he wanted some ideas, and for those, because Mr. Dr. Urquhart has become his inspiration, his motivation, he wrote to him for ideas, and ideas were given by the scientists to him. He worked on those projects, and because of those projects he became famous. He won prizes not in only in the regional science fair, but in international science fair also. So then for his eighth grade, when he reached to 8th class, so till now 8th grade, Albright tried to find the cause of a viral disease that kills nearly monarch caterpillars every few years. So these monarch caterpillars, they died because of some viral disease. So now he wanted to show in 8th class project that why these butterflies were dying. Then he thought that maybe they are dying because of the beetle, because of this beetle they were dying, biting of these beetle. So he tried raising the caterpillar in the presence of beetles. So what he did for that, to show the experiment, he raised the caterpillars in the presence of beetles were also kept there, and I did not get any real result. He's saying, though I did not get any real result out of that, I did not find that there was any beetles were making them die, but he tried the experiment, and this time he won the prize also for his efforts. So now he got the prize. Next year his science fair project was testing the theory that viceroy butterflies copies monarchs. So next year what project he took, that the viceroy butterflies, they copy monarch butterflies. So this theory was that viceroy look like monarch because the monarch do not taste good for birds, and viceroy on the other hand do taste good to birds. So more they look like monarchs, less likely they are to become the bird's dinner. Okay, so now here again this started, another new project was taken. Now he is comparing viceroy and monarch birds, that these monarch birds were eaten by some bird, okay, because they were tasty. Not viceroy birds were eaten because they looked tasty, but monarchs were not eaten. So he wanted to know the reason behind. So for that he started making experiment, that what was the reason. So with the birds which was eating to these viceroy birds, he tried making experiment on those birds. So what was the experiment being done now? Let's see. Albright project was to see whether in fact the birds would eat monarch. He found a starling would not eat ordinary bird food. Now starling is this bird, and it would eat all the monarchs it could get. Albright said later research by other people showed his viceroy probably do not copy monarch. This project was placed first in zoology division and third overall in the country science fair. So he experimented on that this starling would eat the monarchs also, not only just the viceroy. So there was no link between that they were tasty or not. So he got this also project was also he won the prize in that also. Then in his second year in high school, Richard Albright began the research that led to his victory of an unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it also led to new theory on life of cells. So again, he proceeded in his life in the high school only. He was able to know a new idea in his mind came that insect has some hormone, unknown hormone, which led to theory of life of cell, which told him the life of cell also. The question he tried to answer was simple: what is the purpose of 12 tiny gold spots on the monarch pupa? So now what question came? He wanted to study this time this pupa of butterfly was having some gold spots on its body. So he wanted to know actually the reason of these gold spots on his body, so that maybe if there was any link of the growth of that butterfly because of these spots. So everyone guessed that the spots were just ornamental. Albright said. He said Albright was only convincing that no, these were some important spots, but every other people thought that they were the ornamental. But with him, Dr. Urquhart also, he did not believe that these were ornamental. They both believed that there was something special behind these sports. So to find the answer, Ebereit, another excellent student, science students, first had to build a device that showed that spores were producing a hormone necessary for butterflies' full development. So here he got the answer. He tried to find the answer of this, that what was the reason of these spores. So were they necessary, were they producing any hormone which was necessary for butterflies' full development? So on this project he started working, and when he started working he found that there was reason behind these spores. These were actually the hormones which were creating a sort of hormone which was helping the butterfly to develop. So this project also he won first place in the regional fair and entry into international science engineering fair. So there he won third place for zoology. He also got a chance to work during the summer at the entomology laboratory of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. So from here there was a horizon of the studies was open for him. He came to know, he got a chance at etymology here. Etymology is here, sorry, study of science, insects. Okay, so here when he won the prizes in international fair also, and third prize he got from there, so the chance was given to him. There is a famous institute of research. He got a chance to go and work in that laboratory and make his new researches from there. So naturally it was a good opportunity for him. As a high school junior, Richard Ebereit continued his advanced experiments on monarch pupa. That year this project won first place in international science fair, gave him another chance to work in army laboratory during the summer. So this way he won the prize in that, and these projects, after projects were, he won the prizes for all the projects and was getting the chances to work in army laboratory and do his experiments, further experiments. He was getting the chances because in laboratories he was getting all the facilities, all the chemicals, all the equipments required for that. So this opened a new way for him to explore the things. So he was getting chance of working in the laboratory. In his senior year he went further, one more step further. He grew cells from a monarch wing in a cultural and showed that cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wing scales only if they were fed the hormone from gold spots, and the project won first place for zoology international. He spent summer after graduation doing further work at army laboratory and at laboratory of US department. So what another project he was doing? He studied about the growth of cells. He studied about the cells. And he kept in a regulated temperature. He kept the pupa and studied the growth of the butterfly and came to know about the hormones, those on the body of the butterfly, the hormones which were released through those that they were having. The cells were giving those cells which were helping it to develop properly. So again he got a chance to work in the laboratory, and this thing never stopped in his life. Chances after chances he keep on getting. The following summer, after his freshman year at Harvard University, Ebereit went back to the laboratory of Department of Agriculture, did work on hormone of gold spots. Using laboratory sophisticated instrument, he was able to identify the hormone's chemical structure. So here in the laboratory all sort of help was given to him, the equipments were provided to him, the chemicals were provided to him, and he was able to do his studies. And in a year and a half later during his journey, Ebereit got the idea that his new theory about the cell life came while he was looking for X-ray photos of chemical structure of hormone. So a new idea now struck to his mind when he was doing his experiment in the laboratory about the new theory. What was the theory about the cell life? That how cells are responsible for any life. So this idea came in his mind. So when he saw these photos, Ebereit did not shout Eureka or even I have got it, but he believed that along with findings about the other hormones, the photos gave him answer to of biology's puzzles. Till now maybe some puzzle was there in his mind. He wanted to know something. So all were solved, but he was not so excited. But because he knew that this may be the reason. So what he came to know, that cell can read the blueprints of its DNA. And DNA, as you know, cell is having a nucleus in it, and nucleus consists chromosomes, and in chromosomes DNA is there, which is all said that DNAs are the reasons that heredity whatever growth happens in all the generation after generation, this is all because of these DNAs and all. So then his cell of theory, he came to know about the theory of the cell from here. He studied, and he came to know that DNA is actually the blueprint, a blueprint which is the real gist of the life. He came to know a design plan. It is to know, to tell that what actually the life, how the life develops, how the growth of the living beings happens. So Ebright and his college roommate James R. Wong worked all that night drawing pictures and constructing plastic models of molecules to show how it could happen. Together they later wrote the paper that explained the theory. So they in this his classmate, he's one of his classmate, and he, both of them, they keep on working on the same theory, and they explain this theory further also. And surprisingly, no one knew him. Richard Ebright graduated from Harvard, and because still now he's a student, he hasn't become a scientist till now. And this student, intelligent student with highest honors, second in the class of 1500, 10 students were there, and he was on second rank in his class. So intelligent he was. So while doing these experiments, he was doing his studies side by side. Went to become a graduate student researcher at Harvard Medical College. Later on he studied, and he began doing experiments to test his theory of cells. Then he keep on working upon that theory. Then in this if this theory proves correct, it will be a big step towards understanding the process of life. It might also lead to new ideas for preventing some type of cancer and other diseases. All of this is possible because of Ebright's scientific curiosity. His high school research into purpose of sports on a monarch pupa eventually led him to his theory about the cell life. So this way he came to know that how cells are responsible, the DNA is responsible for the development of any of the life of a insect or maybe any living being. So this may help for preventing these new ideas he was getting. Maybe he will be able to now soon, he was able to develop the things will be there that will stop these cancer and other type of diseases, and the scientists started working upon this theory later on. So this way he brought this theory into practice. So Richard Ebright has been interested in science since he first began collecting butterflies, but not so deeply that he hasn't time for other interests. Ebright also became a champion debater, public speaker, a good canoeist, and an all-round outdoor person. He is also an expert photographer, particularly of nature and scientific exhibits. So this scientist, not only he was a collector of butterflies or just those interests were there in sciences only, no, he was also a debater. He was a debater, a good public speaker, a good canoeist. Canoe is a boat, so he was a good canoeist also, and he was a all-rounder personality, outdoor person. He participated almost in all the things, and he was a photographer also, and most of his photography was done on nature and scientific exhibitions. So he was an all-round personality. So in high school, Richard Ebright was a straight A student. Because learning was easy, he turned a lot of energy towards debating model united clubs, and he also found someone to admire, Richard A. Witterer, his social studies teacher, advisor to both clubs. Mr. Witterer was the perfect person for me. He opened to my mind new ideas. So he was fascinated. One of his teacher, social science teacher, he always praised him, and he always motivated him to do new things in his life. He was motivation behind him, always praised him. Richard, who's always give extra effort, said Mr. Witterer. He said what pleased me was that here was this person who put in 3 or 4 hours at a night doing debate research, besides doing all his research with butterflies and his other interest. So this science teacher, social science teacher, he always praised him. He's saying he always worked hard in studies also he did, and for research time also he kept extra time. And moreover, he says Richard was competitive. So the social science teacher was always impressed of him. He said he was very competitive, not in a bad sense, but not in a bad sense. He explained Richard wasn't interested in winning for winning's sake or winning to get prize. He's saying he was not doing work just to get the prizes, rather he was winning because he wanted to do the best job he could. So the best thing in him was that because he wanted to do his work in a better way. So this was helping him to become a best whatever he was doing, and this is the thing which is required to become a famous person. And this is one of the ingredients of making of the scientist. Start with the first rate mind, add curiosity, mix well to win for right reasons. And this is saying that these are the reasons how the scientists, perfect scientists, are made. If they are brilliant also, if they are curious also, and they know that how we can win these things, how we can work upon. So Ebereit has all these qualities. And from time the book The Travel of Monarch, because he was fond of reading, so when he read, this all opened a new world of science to him, and he was never, there was no ending of these experiment in his life later on. Okay, so this is all about Richard Ebereit, and he became a famous scientist later on at the very young age, doing all these experiments. Okay, I hope you may have got some motivation, because every idea, every word we read about the famous people, they motivate us also. They motivate us to work hard in our lives, to have a balance in between the sports, the readings, the studies, the hobbies also. We should have the balance, and we should try to get to do our best in every field. Then only we can become famous personalities. Okay, this is the chapter. Thank you.